I actually wanted to talk about scores of games, so the music behind the games, and if there was really a game that brings back a lot of memories based on its soundtrack. I have a few in mind that I always remember the music, and it always comes to mind, and it just draws me back to this game. So I wanted to talk to you about your reflections on music and games, or the scores, because there's bound to be some games out there. As soon as you hear the music, you're gonna think that's that game, and I've always loved that music. There's that sort of
yeah.
Well, so because for me, playing a lot of Command and Conquer, obviously the whole marching music does it for me. But there's actually the one music that I really like is the Call of Duty music, the sort of military music behind it, and they reproduced that in an orchestra. They I don't know if you've ever bought the soundtrack for the most famous composed gaming scores.
Oh, yeah. I know about it.
Yeah, they basically got an orchestra once and reproduced all this music. Halo soundtrack was on it once, Call of Duty, and they redid it with an orchestra and all this. So Call of Duty and the soundtrack behind that, it's all done by an orchestra, and I really think it's quite powerful music when you're playing that game, and it really brings that game to life. A little bit like scores in movies. So for me, the scores behind, or the music behind games really adds that sort of in-depth,
It gives it something else.
It gives it the emotion.
It lifts the quality, yeah.
So I think it's a fitting subject to bring up, because it's not something we really talk about. We take it for granted. We put it in a game, you do hear this music, and you sort of sometimes hum along and you sort of like it, but you don't realise what that music does to the actual gameplay and how well you enjoy the game. So I just wanted to, should we just go around and sort of maybe reflect on, is there anything that comes to mind for you guys? James?
It's interesting you say that, because just think about those games, it all changed, didn't it, around the time the CD type games came out, because suddenly you could get music, actual proper scores, and music really became a strong part of those games. I remember, and I'm probably stealing someone's thunder, I'm sure, like the first Final Fantasy, Final Fantasy 7.
Yeah. The first Final Fantasy, what?
Yeah. That I play. Just the music on that. Is I always found that quite moving. Just that it was a real simple. There's that ding ding ding. When they're in the playground and stuff, and it's always that very reflective kind of music, and it was really well placed. And it I think around that time it really told me what a game could be. Like, it could be more than just playing and jumping and gameplay. It was actually. It could be quite filmic as well, and cinematic, and how the story was told with the music.
It sets the mood and the tone for a lot of these games, especially like a game like Final Fantasy 7, which didn't have any voiceover in it. It was just all subtitled. Yeah. So they had nothing. They had to fill the space. And a lot of those games, especially the earlier days, Sega, Nintendo, the early Sony games as well, because they didn't have any voiceover tracks with it.
Yeah.
They could only use the music, and they make them very memorable tracks.
Especially on the 16-bit, right? You have the simple tunes that we all know, Sonic the Hedgehog intros.
And they don't have. They only have so many tones to play with, don't they? With those earlier games, so they only had like maybe 4 or 5 kind of tones to play with.
I mean, the thing that always gets me is the old, the first level of Sonic on the Master System. That ding ding ding,
the forest
and that tune, and you hear it recycled in the Mega Drive version. They do a Forest Hill tune. They even recycle it in the latest Sonic, Sonic Generations, and then Sonic Lost World. They even have the tune there, and it just gets me every time, man. And it's no wonder, even when I play the new ones, I still get sucked in, because they're just playing variations of those old themes.
Yeah, I love it though. Cool. But that's Sonic. You hear that and you just immediately think Sonic.
Yeah. Was there like remixed versions of that?
Of that original tune?
I do like remixed versions of all the songs, or like upgraded versions of it, or especially when they do like sequels to a game and then they bring those old things back, because it brings back the old nostalgia.
Oh,
but
yeah.
also now that they've got the technology to add a few more tones, or maybe mix it with an orchestra, or make it heavy metal all of a sudden.
Yeah, music.
It's really cool.
Makes everything.
It's a very powerful thing. Yeah. Again, we do take that for granted.
But sometimes that's part of the point, though, isn't it? Like, if they can subtly sort of take you on an emotional journey with the music without it being in your face, then they've kind of succeeded in a way. Like, because I don't even remember the Call of Duty music, but I do know that it would have been a strong part of that storytelling, and it would have taken me through the highs and lows of the characters' journeys and stuff. Although in saying that, there's one in Halo, it's probably the first game that I ever really, truly, absolutely noticed the score. Every time that it sort of changed and the music came in and the like all of that, you just notice it every time. Your heart rate sort of goes up and the hairs on the back of your neck stand up, like start killing some Covenant or whatever.
Even that total intro music, what is it? Oh, the whole
Well, that's the orchestral sort of thing, isn't it? It just raises the bar so much. It makes it's the quality. Yeah, Halo's the one that stands out the most to me. I just have always remembered that. And I hum it, and I sing it sometimes, It's just like, it's in my head, I know it. It's the backbeat of my life.
And believe it or not, because obviously I'm big on scores even for movies, something I download the soundtracks and stuff from famous composers.
Yeah, you do.
These well-known composers who have come through the eras of the Segas right up through, that are composing music just for games. Yeah. That's what their livelihood is. And they've gone through the times, not from the 16-bit, generated music, right to actually, now that you can get complete made music to be put on your game, which is like orchestra or anything like you'd do for a movie. There's complete people out there just making music for games and making it a different game than what it was back in the 80s.
Yeah. It's amazing they can... I mean, it's not something that changes really, is it? It's music. Where they're making it, with the beep, beep, boop, boop, back in the day. But now it's full orchestral. It's pretty amazing.
Speaking about kind of music composers, like I was just checking out now, Gregson Williams, who composed music for Metal Gear. Oh, sorry, Harry Gregson Williams, who composed music for Metal Gear Solid. He's a famous Hollywood composer.
Yeah.
So he does a lot of films, which I'm just having a look now.
And that's something you obviously play a lot.
Yeah, but his they wanted Metal Gear to sound like a Hollywood game.
Right.
And like for example, he's done X-Men Origins, Wolverine, Chronicles of Narnia, Witch in the Wardrobe, Shrek, the Shrek franchise.
Yeah.
So and a shit ton more. But no, that's a perfect example of movie composers of just music composing in general. Now going towards video games, a really epic soundtrack is the God of War soundtrack in all of them, and they have a real feeling of mythology and also just the epic scale of Kratos' character. Now, like he's taking on gods and mythical creatures and stuff, and you get that in the soundtrack as well. And they've just got a lot of opera, a lot of drums and all that stuff. And like I remember when you defeat a god or a monster in God of War, with that soundtrack also comes with it, and they do recycle like a specific theme as well, which is really cool, and it gives you goosebumps to do something like that. And the music is that powerful to have that in a video game. On a flip side, though, the Japanese like to have like specific themes with their characters. So a character will enter a room and then all of a sudden their theme song hits. They do a bit of that in Metal Gear as well. So also the music sets the tone for that specific character depending on the melody and stuff. But you can they do it a lot in other things, not just the Japanese, but there's parts in games where a character will enter and their theme song hits and you know that they're around, and it says a lot about their character just from the music. And it's composed that way. This character's this and this. So it's even character specific.
Yeah.
Which I find really cool.
Mm.
Yeah, interesting that you bring that up because subconsciously you don't, when you're playing the game, you don't think about the music in that way. It's when you sit back now and think about what it adds to your gameplay experience.
Yeah.
You know, because if you were to take that music out, like you're saying, the boss comes in, you hear this music, and I bet you when you're playing that game, you think, oh shit, you know, what's going on? This music's changing. You're probably not thinking that way, but you're feeling it.
Yeah.
And if you were to take all that out, it would just be like, well, it would be shit. Because you wouldn't have those subconscious emotions going through your head with the game.
Yeah, it's guiding you, telling you how you should feel. And
not just that as well, but you have other soundtracks like Gears of War, when they had Mad World pop in.
Oh yeah, for the trailer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Dead Island.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah, Final Fantasy 13 with Leona Lewis. That's Han's song. Like, whenever I hear that, I just think of Final Fantasy 13.
Oh shit, no, I haven't completed it. I thought the game was shit. Anyway.
Do you think, like, going back to Halo, do you think when they first made that soundtrack, or score, or whatever, I don't know the difference actually, do you think that they were planning on that to be a theme, like an iconic piece of music that would stay with the franchise throughout and be a driving force so that when people hear it, they just immediately think Halo?
No.
Because there's nothing subtle about it, right? But do you think they planned it?
No, I don't think it's ever planned. I think it's just kind of picked up by audiences and because it's a catchy song like that. I also recently watched something about that Halo, the specific scene.
Oh right.
That guy came up with that in 5 minutes, and it was kind of like a last minute kind of thing.
We really need something here. Quick, hum something.
Yeah. I don't remember the person, but sorry, I don't have more information, but I heard that main theme was just done in 5 minutes, and it was kind of like, come up with something.
I think the guy who did the original theme has been given the chop. I don't think he's working on the latest Halo.
Yes.
Which is interesting. Considering what his music brought to the franchise, you think they would...
I'm sure he gets royalties, doesn't he?
Yeah, I'm sure he does. Yeah. That was a good topic.
Oh, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
you seem perplexed.
Well, no, I was just thinking of a score because on the Mega Drive there's a game called Skeleton Warrior.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember it.
Yep.
When I was...
he has it.
Do you have it?
No. It's on Trade Me at the moment, though.
Yeah. Well, on that disc, I think it must have been on the PlayStation. Yeah, it would have been on the PlayStation. If you put that disc into a stereo, there's the whole audio soundtrack. This is
right.
Computers.
Yeah, you could just play it.
And I recorded that back in 1997 onto a tape, and I still listen to that score till this day.
Wow.
Off a tape?
Well, it's not. I've digitalized it, but for me, that score it takes me on a journey. It's sort of one of those. It's one of those games where you actually go through on a journey, trying Skeleton Warrior journey, but it has a very for me a very nostalgic sort of journey music. It's really, I'm on a fantasy journey.
So you've got some music from a game in the mid-90s called Skeleton Warrior that you listen to.
On a daily basis.
No, it's on my computer. I'll listen to it from time to time, but it...
What's so funny?
I just think it's hilarious that it's called Skeleton Warrior.
It doesn't sound like any deep, complex sort of game, but I'm sure the music does it for you.
Well, no, but the score is quite nostalgic.
We need to hear it.
Yeah, we do need to hear it. You need to give me the thing, and I'll chuck it on. That'll be our closing credits for this.
Yeah, I'll put it on my phone.
Have you?
Probably, yeah.
You listen to it on a daily basis.
Well,
there's
lots of music, but yeah, that's one I think of that I recorded specifically ages ago.
Cool.
Nice. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in. Those were our 4 topics this week. We'll be back in another couple of weeks with more topic enjoyment.
Kakite.
Kakiteano.
Still.